It is Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. This is another edition of Baseball Today presented to you by Mountain Dew. Looking for a refreshing citrusy kick this summer? Go grab yourself a Mountain Dew. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I'm Chris Rose, producer Dan, intern Sawyer along for the ride as well. Well, unfortunately, we're going to start today on a little bit of a somber note. A lot of a somber note. It's the reason I'm wearing a Chicago Cubs hat. One of the icons of the sport, and certainly on the north side of Chicago, Ryne Sandberg passed away. He had been battling cancer the last few years, just 65 years old. Hall of Fame second baseman, continued his career in baseball as a skipper for the Philadelphia Phillies for a short stint a little bit over a decade ago. After the Cubs lost to the Brewers, here's their manager, Craig Counsell.
You know, what we do for a living is about like competing and beating people, but his presence was almost due to kindness, and that's such a rare, and he was probably living at a higher level than the rest of us, and you know, I think that's what he was known for. That's what made him special, and that's why people like that make you better. They make you better people.
Craig said an awful lot in about 30 seconds there, Plouffe.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, at least my age, feel this way. He was like the second baseman of my childhood, on the Cubs. So we got to see him on, regular cable TV a lot. And then obviously he was just a great player, Gold Glover, All-Star, Hall of Famer. I did get to cross paths with him and meet him when I was in AAA in the Twins organization. At the time, he was the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs coach. And again, same thing. Didn't know him at all. He didn't know me, but he was just like, he acted like we were like buddies and like friends. The opposing manager, that never happens. So I definitely echo his sentiment about him just being a kind person. I don't know. It's very sad because this seems like I know he was battling for a little bit, but this came on pretty quickly, at least in the news cycle here. So my condolences, because he was a big part of my childhood.
Yeah, and so you were talking about him being on cable. The Cubs in the 80s were one of the teams. It was like the Braves and the Cubs who had their own superstation cable outlets. It was TBS in Atlanta for the Braves, and it was WGN with Harry Carey calling the games on the north side of Chicago. And the Cubs stunk for the most part at the beginning of Rhino's career. And then 84 happened, and there were some magical moments. There was eventually the Ryne Sandberg game where he hit game-tying homers off of another future Hall of Famer, Bruce Sutter, in the 9th, and then he did it again in the 10th. And these are things that you're never going to see again, because you won't see the same outstanding relief pitcher go out there in the 10th after giving it up in the 9th. And we're playing the video for those of you that are on audio only, and you're looking at the way Wrigley Field just exploded when Rhino did his thing, and there wasn't a ton to cheer for until that 84 season. And the Cubs it was the first time they made the playoffs in 39 years, I believe, and you really felt like there was something magical. They were so close to making the World Series, and then the ball goes between Bull Durham's legs, and they end up blowing a 2-0 lead against the San Diego Padres and missing out. But he was at the forefront of this whole resurgence there, and he did it with such grace and class. And it's almost the way when he played the game, it was almost like they were playing this soothing music behind him. There were no grinding of gears. Everything looked smooth. Everything from the way that he hit to the way that he feel, it was incredible.
I want people to know this, like the way that you ask like celebrities now, or people that aren't really into baseball, who their favorite baseball player is, they'll say Derek Jeter. That was Ryne Sandberg. Like, everybody knew Ryne Sandberg. So I don't know. I don't know how to like really express his legacy to the younger generation other than saying that. I think that kind of hits it.
And for people who are wondering, well, usually Josh will ask me, hey, how good a player was he? He could do it all. He was really a 5-tool guy. He was named the MVP in 84. He had 19 homers and 19 triples that year. He was remarkably consistent. 6 seasons of at least 25 homers, 7 steals of at least 25 bags, and he was a 9-time Gold Glover. You're going to hear a lot of tributes over the next several days. And I think it's important to listen to as many of them as possible. I even caught a little bit of Matthew Boyd's post-game press conference last night. He just joined the Cubs this year, and he said, when I got a chance to hang out with Ryne Sandberg in spring training, he made me feel like I'd played my entire career here. And when you're talking about somebody who then goes back and represents the organization the way that Ryan did, that's what you want. You want a guy who's going to make fans and players and everybody in the organization feel special. And I think that's the biggest tribute we can pay to him today.
Agreed.
He did that. He did that. If you got a Rhino story, please drop it in the comments. Let us know. There's a lot of baseball fans that are hurting. We've lost a lot of amazing Hall of Famers, I'd say, over the last 3 to 5 years. And this one, I think probably because of the age, and we just saw him out there getting that statue not that long ago. That one, I mean, it all stings. This one really, really hurts. So thanks for entertaining us. Thanks for being a great human being, Ryne Sandberg. I think a lot of us are better off because of it. Absolutely. That is a true tip of the cap. As for his beloved Cubs, they are in a battle in the National League Central. Brewers get them in kind of a wild one, where Miz gave up 3 in the first, a 40-pitch first inning. But then Milwaukee came back as they usually do. And you know who got it done yet again at the dish. I can't explain what has happened with Andrew Vaughn this year. Can you?
Well, yeah, a couple different things. I mean, change of scenery guy, you're in probably one of the worst environments in all of professional baseball with the Chicago White Sox. And look, they're rebuilding. They're doing all these things as part of it. You get put on these teams. There's nothing you can do.
They've been playing a little bit better, too, lately. Let's give them a little bit of credit.
Sure. Okay, but it's a lost season. Like, you're not playing for anything, and it's just tough to show up to the field like that. You're just trying to go out there, and I've said this many times on the show. Been part of these teams. Showing up and just playing for yourself sucks. Like, it's like not a great clubhouse atmosphere. It's every single day of that. So then you go from a last place team to a first place team, and it reinvigorates you, your passion for the game, your love for the game. But he also, he went down to AAA. He was in AAA, went down to AAA and had to work on some things. Jolly Olive put a tweet out last night talking about his exit velo. Oh, excuse me. He was talking about Mark Vientos' bat speed, and how in 2024 it was 71.8, and it was at the beginning of this year in the 70s, and the 1 mile an hour increased bat speed has changed him. And somebody wrote underneath that, like, Andrew Vaughn has done basically the exact same thing. So I think you have to give credit to the Milwaukee Brewers for identifying some swing mechanic issues and getting him back up here. And now, yeah, he's in the middle of the freaking Brewers lineup, lighting it up. And I think a lot of it has to do with atmosphere and different organization. Like, this is we talk about the Brewers organization. I think they deserve a ton of credit because they understand, player development, and you're never too old to develop as a player. You can learn new things that can help you. I think that's what we've seen from Andrew Vaughn.
Hey, Plouffe, just twist your mic just a little bit. It's a little bit off to the side. There you go. Thank you. We want to be able to hear all those dulcet tones. With Vaughn, it is crazy. He's had 4 homers in 14 games. He's got well over a 1 OPS. Don't look at his numbers. You know what? I guess go look at his numbers on the south side of Chicago. He was almost a -2 WAR player in not that long a time this year on the south side of Chicago. You know how hard that is to become a -2 WAR player in that small a sample size? That is a brutal, brutal season. I'm happy for him. Seems like a good dude. I had a chance to catch up with him at the CAA house in spring training. And you could see it on his face when we made a couple of White Sox jokes that he knew it was going to be a long season there. I can't imagine he would imagine the roller coaster that he has been on. And now he's in such a spot that I know that Rhys Hoskins isn't supposed to return for a few more weeks still. But there were rumors that Rhys Hoskins could be on the move because Andrew Vaughn has played so well. Yes, I read that somewhere.
No way. That's a silly statement. No chance.
Just saying that was out there. As far as the way this game went, I think every Jacob Misiorowski start from here on out is going to be criticized and looked at. He kind of cost himself with that error in the first and 40-pitch first inning. And then Yelich said afterward, he said out of the small sample size that we've seen out of Miz so far, last night was the game that impressed him most because of what happened in that first inning. He didn't end up going 2 1/3. He ended up working a few more innings and actually retiring, I think, the final 10 Cubs. So that is a growing process for a young pitcher.
It is. I mean, you really see someone's true character when they struggle. I say that all the time when, I'm broadcasting a game, you see a guy struggle in the first inning, you say, that could be all that happens today. We could see this guy in the 7th inning. And I always reference Mark Burley as the example for that. Like, he get in trouble in the first inning. Before you knew it, it was in the 8th and he still had the ball. I think that is the sign, obviously maturity, but also the ability to, compartmentalize things on the mound, which you have to do. It has to be pitch to pitch. You can't just let one at bat or one pitch leak into the next. And for a young guy, it is impressive. So I do understand what Yelly's saying. That does mean a lot on the baseball field. You have to have that to be if you want to be what Jacob Misiorowski can be, you have to be able to do that.
Right. Is it going to now come down to which of these two teams makes a bigger splash before the trade deadline to decide the NL Central?
That's such a tough question. I mean, the right splash, health, I think, is a big issue for both teams or any team going down the stretch run. You have to have your players. So I don't know about the biggest splash, but yeah, the right splash. And both these organizations have really wonderful and smart people running them.
I think the Cubs, when you make a trade for a guy like Kyle Tucker, and you've ended up giving up Cam Smith, and we've seen what his rookie year has been like in Houston, you damn well better continue. You got to double down here. You have to go for it. They need arms in both the rotation and the bullpen. We've heard Mackenzie Gore's name kicked around from the Washington Nationals. That's not going to be a cheap endeavor because that's somebody who's obviously on the up, but also under control for a few more years. I don't hate that move by the Cubs at all, depending on what they have to give up. And Owen Casey is a guy that's mentioned at the top of that list. He's had an incredible year down in the minors. So, yeah, I think the pressure is more so on the Cubs. I would like to see the Brewers take a stand. I think Eugenio Suarez would be a perfect fit for them. I think if they got him, we're talking World Series contender. So, yeah, I think a lot of it is dependent on what happens in the next 48 plus hours.
I mean, I do too. Eugenio, I know Matt Shaw's been going off for the Cubs. It's been great for him. Stoked. I think he still fits on that team. We could figure out at bats. But now, yeah, we'll see what happens with him. He's day to day with a hand contusion, I'll call it.
Right. Well, could you imagine? We were just talking about this before the show. That if you're the Tigers and you were maybe working on a deal to try and bring Suarez back to Detroit, and all of a sudden you hit him in the hand and you knock him out. Thank God the X-rays were negative.
Yeah, that was weird. Will Vest went up and in, he shakes his hand right away, and then when the trainer came out and touched something, he freaked out. Like it hurt really badly. And that's when I was like, oh, shoot, it might be broken. But apparently X-rays were negative. That's a good thing. But
heck yeah,
that's going to put him out for at least, I'd say a week at least.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah, but you just can't grab the bat?
Just can't grab the bat. And if he reacted like that, I guess you could pump him full of stuff. They don't typically do that in baseball. They don't. The way they do it in football, they don't do that in baseball.
If you're Mike Hazen, you make the call from Arizona, you're like, Torrey,
well, I don't think it'll deter teams from trading for him.
No, but if I'm Arizona, I'm not pushing it.
Pushing
Suarez to be out there. Give him a day or two.
Oh, he's gonna. Oh, dude. Yes. I think that they don't need to play him. His trade value is already there. And if the X-rays came back negative, I don't think it deters a team from
Right.
going out and getting him.
Gotcha. All right, want to thank Mountain Dew for sponsoring today's episode. With bold flavors and a refreshing citrus kick, Mountain Dew, it's perfect for any occasion, whether it's beach days, boat days, out on the golf course days, going to the ballpark days, or just about anything in between. For us as a group, John Boy Media, we call them warehouse games days. That is the day that the president of the Mountain Dew fan club, Dalton Feely, has a little extra kick in his step, a big old smile on his face, because he gets this stuff intravenously fed to him. He loves it. He is all over it. He always goes, "Hey, Rose, you want a Mountain Dew?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go. Why not?" So the next time you're chilling, doing whatever you want for these summer activities or hanging out at the ballpark, or maybe you're getting ready for the warehouse games, just know that the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew is the perfect pairing for any occasion. So if that's what you're looking for, go grab yourself a Mountain Dew. All right. For those of you that didn't stay up late on Monday night, you missed a great game out at Petco Park. We had amazing catches. We had questionable umpiring calls, both of which we will get to. But first, we will start at the end with a little ninth inning drama from both the Mets and the Padres.
2-1 to Ronnie. And he hits one in the air to deep right center. Back goes Tatis, takes a look, and this game is tied. Ronnie Mauricio for the second straight night. A tying home run in the top of the ninth. And the Mets have gotten back even 6-6.
Line to left center field. It's in for a base hit. Here comes Iglesias around. The throw is up the line. Padres walk it off. Elias Diaz drives it in.
Why does it feel like every amazing finish over the last 4 years has happened in that stadium?
It's the energy, like the call, the crowd, everything is. I don't know if I can call it the best atmosphere in baseball, but it's damn close. If it's not, it's right there. I mean, that is, I think for a regular season game, I think that's the best atmosphere in baseball. You could argue in the playoffs, you could talk about Philly, you could talk about Dodger Stadium gets pretty damn loud as well. I know Yankee Stadium. Like there's places, a lot of places in the playoffs can get crazy. But a regular season game, I think that San Diego probably takes the cake.
Yeah, and that's on a Monday night. But
we see
that all the time down there at Petco, and they've got an incredibly fun team that plays an exciting brand of baseball. And, man, Mauricio on consecutive nights, that dude, I haven't watched enough of him to come to any sort of conclusion of what sort of player he's going to be. But he is a presence up there, man. When he swings hard.
Yeah, he's got a pretty swing. Put together a nice little year right here. 778 OPS. Looking at the numbers right now. 6 homers and only 115 at bats. Like, pretty good.
Yeah, it was really, really a fun back and forth. And it's interesting because I read in Dennis Lin of The Athletic covers the Padres. Like, they're trying to figure out what they are doing down the stretch. And you know that A.J. Preller, he must be going nuts the last couple days before the trade deadline. He's trying to figure out, okay, well, if I move Dylan Cease because he's going to walk here, but I can go get somebody else that can help us for the next 2.5 years in that trade. Maybe I can pull off a 3 or a 4 team trade. They ought to have a camera on him and come out with some sort of piece a few months down the road to see what the last like 48 or 72 hours are like before the deadline for him.
Doesn't it seem like he's one of those cops in a show that they come back and all of a sudden the whole wall is covered with pictures and like a little red string connecting the dots. Like that's what he seems like to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And you see sitting there looking at his big board, guys who, in terms of controllable years and who's in their walk year. And he's just, he's doing that whole thing. That's a good call on your part. I know something's going to happen. I don't know who's going where yet, but I cannot wait to see what it is. Let's talk a little bit more about the rest of the game. Fernando Tatis with another remarkable catch, stealing a home run away from Mark Vientos. When they moved him from shortstop to right field, I was like, oh, okay, well, he'll be interesting out there. He is far and away the most exciting right fielder defensively we've got in this sport.
Yeah, I mean, you could say he's one of the most exciting outfielders in this sport. in general. I think Denzel Clark might have taken over the spot there for what he does in center field, but he's he made another catch coming in on a ball as well, sliding in. Like he's all over the place, and he has the speed, and he has the athletic ability, he has the arm, like he just has everything. And he also has like the shimmy. He messes around with people like in the stands. He's so fun to watch.
So what is it like when somebody robs a home run of you?
You're pissed. What do you mean? It sucks.
Okay. So
I'm not like one of these guys like, hey, good job. Like, no, I'm fucking pissed, dude.
Well, but then for Vientos to come back in a later at bat and hit it the same direction, and I love the Mets call on this one. They're like, go catch this one, Tatis. He's not going to catch that.
That was the next inning.
Pretty impressive.
So that's fun if you're Mark Vientos. You're like, okay.
No, that's awesome. Really, really good. The one part of the game that unfortunately I think we have to talk about, there were 2 Soto at-bats. One, I believe, in the 3rd inning where he was called out and had a problem with the home plate umpire. And then, Skipper comes out and protects him, and he ends up getting tossed so that Soto remains in a very critical game. Well, here we go in the 7th inning, and this happens.
Soto takes a slider up out of the zone. Did he call it a strike? No, come on.
Yeah, that's Emil Jimenez behind home plate, who did not have a great night, as Mendoza said after the game. Anything?
Oh, that's a horrible call. And like staring someone down, waiting for a reaction is so bad. And then I was like, okay, wait a minute. Emil Jimenez, I don't think he's got a lot of dirt on his spikes. And I remember the name. Why do I remember the name? Dan, pull the video up for me, please.
The 1-2.
Because this call right here was also Emil Jimenez. A no swing that would have ended the game in LA when I was calling it. And that right there, that was the nail in the coffin on the Twin season. They could have came out of there with a series win.
Gosh.
It's the truth, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
You come back, you win this game, they win a series, like maybe they go on a run. Instead, they have to fly home with this. They get walked off in this game after this. That was when they walked Shohei, and then Freddie came up and got the knock. Griffin Jacks had his problems in that game as well. Same umpire, not even paying attention at all. And then you get this, like, no accountability. We talk about it all the time. What's going to happen to this guy? Nothing. If a baseball player is shitty at his job, what happens? You get sent out. You get, something happens to you. I'm not saying this guy needs to be fired, but dang, that's horrible. The call on Mookie was horrible. I don't know what to say, Chris.
The best part of this, Dan, you got to put the Soto one back up real quick. Watch Morejon's reaction. He's like, damn, that's a ball. Oh.
Yeah.
Look at his body language. He's
and why is he staring at him?
I don't know. It was really weird.
The other at bat wasn't that bad. A couple bad. I mean, you can understand that. The curveballs by Cease, like they're close. That is not even freaking close.
That's tough.
And then the stare down's the worst part. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't really have a suggestion. I mean, we have more access and information on umpires' good and bad jobs than ever before, right? There's every social media site has got it. Every pitch is available, within seconds of it appearing. And we have the dots. So here's this dot, here's that dot, how he got screwed, might have gotten that one right, clipping the edge, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, if the goal is to make the game better overall, hi, ABS. We'll see you in 2026.
Right there. We needed that one last night.
We sure as heck did. Okay. Now we got to get to a personal level. Rough day, rough night for my Cleveland Guardians. On this very show, we found out that Emmanuel Clase was going to be on the paid leave restricted list. He is being investigated. He is the second Cleveland pitcher being investigated for his role in possible gambling wrongdoings. So Cleveland lost its all-star closer. Then, of course, took a lead into the 9th inning against the lowly Colorado Rockies. Cade Smith, you're up first. And this happened.
And a base hit to right. Doyle has scored. Here comes Farmer, gets a stop sign. 6-5 Colorado. Have a night against your former club, Tyler Freeman.
Yeah, he only knocked in 3 runs, and Cade Smith gave up 4 in a third of an inning in what was a disastrous day for my Cleveland Guardians. So a couple things before we move on to the question I truly want to ask. You know, this kind of hit us as breaking news yesterday, so we couldn't formulate a ton of thoughts. It was more reactionary. There are a lot of people who say, well, how can you guys, you know, you have business that is sponsored by a gambling site, not this particular show, but, you know, there is a lot on John Boy Media, and it's throughout baseball, and people were laughing last night because there were betting ads all over Cleveland Stadium. Austin Hedges came up, and they were talking about, well, his his plus odds of reaching base or whatever it was. Like, people were saying it's comical that all this is continuing. Is baseball talking out of both sides of its mouth with this?
Yes. I think the answer is yes. I truly believe that. And look, I don't have a problem with, you know, businesses advertising, but this, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I should say all this right now. I'm going to say it because what are we going to do? It's the truth. I've seen it with a lot of the young kids. Like, they're getting, you know, because everyone's on their phones now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it with, you know, kids of my friends who were like in high school and like them having these books. And I don't like that. So I don't know if there needs to be like a better age restriction, or maybe it's got to be 26 and up to bet or something like that, or a proof of income, something like that. I think there needs to be a little bit more regulation in the space.
Mm-hmm.
That's my true feeling on it. Look, I think as a society, like, there are things that aren't good for you, but, you know, get advertised, and it's up to you to decide, you know, what you do with it. Am I going to abuse it or not? I mean, that's just kind of life. But I think in situations like we're seeing with the gambling houses, I'm for a little bit more regulation there. And I don't know what that says about me. That's just kind of how I feel. And I think it is like, yeah, we're shaming these guys for doing this. And I think I don't want to say like I excuse, you know, a player from intentionally throwing something. And this is all allegedly with these 2 guys.
Yeah, there's currently an investigation.
Going. I'm not saying they did, but they can't do that either. Like, that's not okay. Just because there's advertising around doesn't mean you can just do whatever you want. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there is a little bit of a double-edged sword here. Like, there needs to be, if we're going to advertise as much as we are, there needs to be more regulation on it.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I do believe that that's fair. Here's what I would say, because I work for NFL, and there are very strict rules that I have to adhere to. I'm not allowed to place a bet on any sport. I don't place bets on. You can do horse racing. I think that's the one thing that you can do.
Interesting. The horse racing lobbying is so good.
I can do fantasy football for less than $250 in a season. It is strictly written in the NFL bylaws about that. Okay. But I cannot go into a sports book. You won't see me in a sports book. I can't walk through a sports book. If I go cover the Super Bowl or the draft or a Raiders game in Las Vegas, I'm not even allowed to go sit at a blackjack table while I'm working for the NFL on NFL time, just so that people know. And people were joking around in the comments, oh, Rose, you're next. You do this, you do that. I'm being honest. I mean, this is what we're about here on a show. So if you want to know the tea here, if you want to know what's going on, I am explaining it to you, what the rules are and how I live my life. I don't know about other people. So I guess my big point here is that, yes, there is advertisement all around the stadium, and several times throughout the Guardians broadcast, they would pop up the possibility of micro bets. It is still your job as an employee to know what the rules and restrictions are. And if you don't like it, then go do something else for a living.
there's no like they didn't know that this was a bad
Yes.
thing. Like I will say we need to protect our kids. That's my main issue here. Protect the kids. You're an adult. Do what you got to do, man. Like you should be smart enough. So I got another one. I feel very passionate on this one. 16 is way too young to be driving. That needs to be 18. I'm serious. Don't tell me you don't agree with that. You had young boys.
Absolutely, I do. 100%.
Yes, 18 for driving.
100%.
Maybe some special exemptions every once in a while, I guess. But I just think my main point here is with everything, protect our kids.
Okay. Let's end it on this. And it is important. Sometimes we have to have big boy and big girl conversations here with this stuff. If you got a comment on all that, let's not get so quippy and, oh, well, you're still going to take this sort of money from this entity. Business is business. And we also
don't make any decisions about
we don't
advertises with us.
And at the end of the day, whomever you advertise with, it's business. You do have a business to run, and it's up to people to have the proper discretion and know themselves. And if they need help, go get help. And if you're looking at family members or friends that you think need help, step in. That's what life is about, right? There's a ton of alcohol advertisement all over the place. That doesn't mean you can go get smashed and go get behind a wheel.
But that's also very regulated. So I think we need to get there with the gambling. Like you can never see anybody drinking. They don't advertise for hard liquor anymore. I don't know. There's a bunch of things.
Right. It has changed over the years. It has changed. And smoking advertisement has basically disappeared.
Yeah.
Right.
The youth right now is crushing it because nobody smokes anymore. And all my people that own restaurants, well, vaping, got to get rid of that. I think that's also like out. Maybe I'm out of tune. The kids that I know aren't doing that. And they're also saying the drinking is on its way out. Like the rest of the guys that own restaurants are like, dude, we don't make any money out of alcohol anymore.
Okay.
Everyone's California sober.
Let's get back to the question at hand.
Okay.
Our buddy Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic wrote that the Clase not being available at least until the end of August could change their tact on what they would do trade-wise. That Shane Bieber, who's working his way back from elbow surgery and is in rehab starts right now, could be traded, and so could their two-time All-Star left fielder Stephen Kwan. Of Kwan, Kenny wrote, he is drawing, quote, a ton of interest, according to a club source, with the Dodgers, Blue Jays, Phillies, Padres believed to be among the teams in the mix. Should the Guards just call it a day and sell?
No. Not Stephen Kwan, not in my opinion. He's not a free agent until 2028. This is an organization that hasn't developed outfielders that can hit. Like, this is the guy. Like, let's just keep this guy around. I would not sell Stephen Kwan. There's other pieces if you wanted to do, if you wanted to sell some guys that are, free agents to be, or maybe a bullpen piece. I don't have a problem with that, but not Stephen Kwan. I think, to me, he's the one guy. Don't do that.
Well, first of all, I don't know how many teams would be in on Bieber when he has not thrown a major league pitch since last April. I think that's a hard one for the other team to pull off. With Kwan, he is the lone remaining piece outside of Cade Smith that I think could bring anything back to Cleveland. And I've gone back and forth because Kwan is one of my favorite players that I've watched over the last several decades. I have an affinity for him as a person. I really, really like him a lot. But I think they now have gotten into year 4 of his deal, prior to being, he's got 2 more years of being arbitration eligible, and they haven't made any progress on a contract. So they're going to get to this time next year, and we're still going to answer questions if he doesn't get traded in the offseason. Now, you are right. Cleveland has been horrible at developing outfielders. Absolutely horrible. But I also look at this from the other side. With so many teams that I think feel like they've got a shot at winning the World Series this year, he could be the missing piece. He is the perfect playoff player. For people that don't watch him on a daily, he is the biggest pain in the ass for pitchers because he fouls off, builds up a pitch count, puts a little flair into play. His exit velo is not going to make anybody shake in their boots, but, dude, he is so good at being a contact guy. He is so good in a lineup that is not a major league lineup outside of Jose Ramirez. Imagine what he would be with 5 or 6 legitimate everyday baseball players in the same lineup. He could change the fortunes of an entire team.
Sorry, I'm writing a text right now. My bad. Yes. I totally agree with you, but I just don't think at this point, this is what I was talking about. What's he going to bring back? He's going to bring back probably a high-level prospect, top 10 prospect, I would say. That you're hoping
a lot
is Stephen Kwan. What do you like, right?
I agree with you.
He's going to make $7 million next year? Like, let's go. Like, this is not a guy you trade. Not right now.
I know. I would have to be, if I were Antonetti and Chernoff, the decision makers in Cleveland, I would have to literally be blown away with an enormous.
Fine, you can say that because I think a lot of teams say that. And my twins say that all the time about, a Joe Ryan. If they trade Joe Ryan, I'm out. Done. I'm done broadcasting games if they trade Joe Ryan at the trade deadline. I told them that I quit.
I'll just leave it with this. With Stephen Kwan, what would you be getting? A guy that's a 3.5 to 4 win player, 10 to 12 homers, 15 bags, Gold Glove defense, and a great dude that is a pain in the ass to try and get out in October.
Okay. What do you think he fetches you? 2 top 10 prospects? No.
I think so.
You think 2? I don't know. I think one. I think one in like a flyer, like low level minor leaguer.
It would have to be somebody that's ready to go right now. It can't be a guy that's 20 years old.
What do they need more than an outfielder that can hit?
I know.
So
I'm not saying you definitely do it.
Okay.
I'm saying it's
I know you love Kwan. He's so marketable too. Like, I don't know.
I love him.
He just seems like the perfect guy.
Great dude. All right, we're going to finish with the latest on the Harper Manfred story that we chewed on yesterday. It came out early Monday morning that the commissioner, he's making his tours around to every clubhouse, went to the Phillies to speak with them. And Harper reportedly said, according to Jeff Passan's article in ESPN, that if you want to talk salary cap, get the F out of our clubhouse. They eventually shook hands, got out there. It wasn't pretty. Well, Harper, before the Phillies game on the south side of Chicago, did address the rumors.
I've always been outspoken within these limits of the clubhouse doors and everywhere else. But I don't think necessarily anything should be relayed to media or what happens or what I'm talking about or how everything's going unless Manfred or Tony or somebody else is doing that.
He did not dispute what was written in the column. He disputed that the column was written because somebody squealed. He sounds pissed. Now, there was one player from his current team that was quoted in the article. How does this go down from here on out?
I'm sure him and Castellanos had a talk. I'm sure they did because, what is said in the clubhouse needs to stay in the clubhouse, especially when you're talking about labor negotiations. I mean, clearly the players don't want to cap. That's not like some, secret.
Right,
but
that's not breaking news.
Yeah, it's not breaking news. But I think that you want to keep all that as best you can between the two parties and not just let it leak out, especially right now, with where they're at in the season and what they're trying to accomplish. I think just it's a distraction. As far as Castellanos going on record, I don't think I think he thought he was making Bryce seem like a badass and wanted to pump him up. And I don't think Bryce really took it that way necessarily. So I'm sure they had a talk. I don't think it's that big of a deal. A guy like Castellanos has respect, and as long as they hash it out man to man, I don't think it's going to be a lingering issue or anything like that. But I do want to point out that you said our fans wouldn't want to talk about labor negotiations. They don't care, and our comment section said differently yesterday. So
yes, they did.
I applaud our fans for, these aren't our fans here, not casuals. These are people that really, really love baseball, and we're going to do our best to give the right information or give our opinion and try to. We have to give both sides. You make your own decision on it. Look, I'm a player, so definitely in the past I have lent to the player side. That's kind of where my head is at. I've just always been that way. But I've also tried to take into account, both sides. We'll see how it goes this year. I'm one of those people who's doesn't like to have a party affiliate. I need to hear both sides and then make my informed decision. Most likely, knowing my track record, I'm going to lean pro player. But again, I want to make sure that that we're trying to just give the best information possible. Because I think a lot of people say, of course you're going to be a pro player. Or now they're going to say, of course you're going to be pro MLB now that you guys have deals. That's not the case at all. Not one bit. I'm going to give you my opinion on it because that's what we're paid to do.
So, yeah, it was interesting. I appreciated all the comments, even if some of you didn't use the most creative language ever. That's fine. What I would say is this. I still believe that most casual fans, and baseball fans are mostly, all sports fans are mostly casual. They're not in on the nitty-gritty. They don't want to find out how the sausage is made. They just want to know that they're going to be eaten at the end of the day. I honestly believe that. I think the people that do care, that come out and seek shows like this to be entertained and informed every day, are going to do want to know much more about what's going on. So the response didn't surprise me at all, in the question that I asked yesterday and the opinion I gave. But I do honestly believe that I don't know what percentage of baseball fans would consider themselves casual as opposed to diehard in the weeds daily basis. But I think the more of those casuals would be like, yeah, just keep me posted. Is there a game tonight or not?
I do want to point out that most baseball players at the major league level do not have life-changing money.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
I think people really think that, and we'll get into that more. It's not the time to do it right now, but yeah.
They make a great living. The minimum salary is...
They've also sacrificed a ton and spent a lot of time making no money to get to where they're at, and it's a very small percentage of the population, very skilled, very tiny chance. It's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we'll get into that later. There's a lot.
Yeah. I don't think that's for here, but yeah, I would agree with that. The perception versus the reality is something that needs to be cleared up. I think that's fair. All right, some heavy hitting stuff today. Some deep thought today. It's good to get those shows going. When we return tomorrow, it'll be a little bit more than 24 hours away from the trade deadline. So let's get some good stuff going. Not some of these fringe deals. I want some heavy hitting. Let's go, GMs. Let's go. Get on those phones. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our awesome intern, Sawyer, that is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by Mountain Dew.